Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we are talking about Pretty Woman. And stick around until the end. We'll be talking about the top 4 rich people activities that we would suck at.
Pretty Woman. Vivian is a carefree, streetwise diamond in the rough when she meets sophisticated billionaire Edward in a chance encounter that turns into a week-long business arrangement. But Vivian's energetic spirit challenges Edward's no-nonsense approach to life, and soon they are teaching each other and falling in love. Released in March of 1990, the #1 song, Escapade by Janet Jackson.
It's a great song.
I don't know if I know that one.
Come on, baby, let's get away. Let's save our troubles for another day.
Okay. I think I know it. I just don't
Come
know
go with
it.
me. We got it, mate. Let me take you on an escapade. That was not very good melody singing, but that's how it goes.
Not bad, Ben. Not bad. It's like you do music for a living or something. Partially for a living. In TV news, we had 2 premieres around this time. We had Carol and Company on NBC with Carol Burnett, and Twin Peaks premiered on ABC right around this time. Shout out David Lynch. And in famous celebrity births, I was about to say pop star, but not really pop star, but singer, Hozier. Take Me to Church. Pretty Woman, directed by Gary Marshall, starred Richard Gere, Julia Roberts, Jason Alexander, Ralph Bellamy, Hector Elizondo, and for the listeners of You Haven't Seen That, couple alumni from some movies that we've covered. Larry Miller, aka the dad from 10 Things I Hate About You, and Patrick Richwood, who is Dennis in the movie, who you might recognize as the toy salesman in Jingle All the Way.
What?
Yeah, he's one of the toy guys, the first toy store that Howard goes to.
The guy's talking on the toy like microphone?
No, he is one of the associates when Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad team up for the first time and they run into the back, and Howard goes over to the toy salesman and starts selling, "Oh, do you have Turbo Man dolls?" And then they start laughing. The guys who start laughing, that is Dennis.
Who is Dennis in this movie?
He is the elevator guy.
Okay.
You skipped over Laura San Giacomo, who love her from Just Shoot Me. And also she danced with my dad when they were in college.
Well, I didn't know that fact. If I had known that fact, I would have included it. That's amazing.
I don't know. They didn't go to the same college, but they were at some event together and they danced together back in like the late 70s.
That's awesome.
Julia Roberts' friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
I need to ask a lot more about that story when we go off.
I don't know a lot more about that story.
Curious minds want to know. That's awesome, though. With a $14 million budget, this movie grossed $463 million at the global box office. This movie opened #1, and then the next week after fell behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 4 weeks, and then proceeded to reclaim the #1 spot for 3 weeks after that. This was the #2 movie of 1990 domestically, behind Ghost. It has a number of accolades from a box office perspective. I think this is the #1 rom-com by tickets sold estimation. At the time of its release, it was the 5th highest grossing movie of all time. And it was Disney's highest grossing R-rated movie until Deadpool and Wolverine in 2024.
Wow. It's a long time.
Yeah. Shout out to Pretty Woman. It's amazing. Middling critic reviews, 65% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 51 on Metacritic, but who cares about the critics? This movie was nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards for Julia Roberts. She lost to Kathy Bates in Misery. This movie had more success at the Golden Globes, where Julia Roberts won Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy. And this movie was also nominated for Best Picture, Musical or Comedy, Best Actor for Richard Gere, and Best Supporting Actor for, I believe, Hector Elizondo.
All right. Thank you. So, Ben, why don't you tell us your history with this?
Yep. So by virtue of me not seeing as many movies, Julia Roberts is like one of those big stars that I just haven't seen a lot of her stuff. I have seen some of it. So I'm not like completely like unaware of her by any means, but I just, she's been in a lot of movies that I haven't seen, a lot of successful movies that I haven't seen. This being one of the most obvious ones. And I was interested in this partially as a choice for this podcast because, as I may have mentioned, I have all these old Entertainment Weeklies, and I've been starting to slowly go through them. And I'm in the very beginning ones from 1990, which Entertainment Weekly started about a month before this movie came out, and it famously got a D or a D plus from their movie critic at the time, who was their movie critic for a long time, Owen Gleiberman, and Entertainment Weekly in its very earliest days got kind of a reputation for being kind of snooty. And this was like one of the like complete, proof of that, because this was such a popular movie. And not like it was critically acclaimed across the board, but to be like that harsh on it was like part of the reason that their original managing editor, Geoff Jarvis, who went on to be a TV critic for TV Guide and other places, ended up leaving after just a couple months. And one of the reasons was they felt like Entertainment Weekly was trying to be a little too highbrow and snooty. And Pretty Woman was like exhibit A for that. So that made me curious about seeing the movie. But I have not seen too much. I did not see the musical either that came on Broadway in 2018, I believe, and ran for over a year, but did not get a lot of critical acclaim.
I could see that.
Yeah.
All right, Geoff, what is your history?
So my history is similar to you, Ben, to an extent with this movie, minus the Entertainment Weeklies. I had never seen this movie in full before recording this episode and before watching it this time. And much like you, Ben, with Julia Roberts, I'm the same way with Richard Gere, weirdly enough. I've not seen a lot of Richard Gere's movies. I've seen Chicago, where he was the supporting role. And I've seen one of his first movies, or one of his earlier movies. I shouldn't say first. That's maybe misspeaking a little bit. But I saw him in Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven. But outside of that, I really haven't seen him in anything. So big blind spot there. So I was excited to check this one out for sure. Didn't know too much about it outside of the basic summary of the plot and the song. But yeah, so this was a fun one to check out.
Cool. Yeah, I obviously knew that this movie existed. I think I knew the plot of this movie loosely, but I also think I may have confused this movie with a different movie. Like, I specifically had a scene in my head that I thought was from this movie, but it never happened. So it must be from a different movie, probably another 90s movie about something.
What was the scene?
It's like a woman and a man, and they're sitting at like a bar or some sort of place, like in a hotel, and I swear they were like talking to each other about like arranging something for like a week long, like the guy needs like a date and she like agrees to like be his date. I don't remember if she was a prostitute or not, but like she like agrees to be his date, but they don't really like know each other, and it's like this whole kind of thing. So I don't know what movie that's from.
No idea.
Not this one.
Not this one.
All right, Geoff, what is your score for Pretty Woman?
I gotta say, Julia Roberts did a lot of work with this movie, in my opinion. Her back must be so sore carrying the weight of this movie. I'm going through some of my ratings from this year and what we've done so far this season, and a lot of my movies are scored pretty similarly. I'm going to give this one a 3.25, and that is almost exclusively based on the charm of Julia Roberts and her piecing things together alongside Richard Gere. I think that her portrayal of Vivian was really just amazing, and I was locked in every single time when she was on screen, and I just wanted her back on screen throughout this entire movie. So 3.25 for me.
Her back hurts almost 30 years later.
Yeah, still.
More than 30 years, Amanda.
30,
36 years.
36 years, yeah.
Wait, when was this made?
1990.
1990.
Oh, I don't know why in my head I was thinking 1997.
Nope.
Would I have been right if it was 1997? Almost 30 years?
Almost 30 years.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Good math.
Great. So I was right based on my incorrect thinking. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, Ben, what is your score?
I agree about Julia Roberts. I think it's very obvious how this became like the thing that catapulted her into superstardom and became, you know, the kind of the actress of the 90s, really, in terms of box office. I do think there's some problematic elements of the movie. I think it is good looking and I think it is charming. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we've been given a lot of movies like
I know I have a
in the
lot
mid
of threes
threes.
this year.
Mhm.
We
Need
need
to
find
watch
some
some either
standouts.
great ones or some duds soon.
Yeah, we should throw in a good dud in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know when my lowest is Arrival, it means we haven't done like a real horrible disaster this year.
Just you wait. So something to know about me is that I don't typically like rom-coms. I used to watch them when I was younger. You know, obviously they used to make a lot more like when I was younger and like a teenager. But I don't know, it's just kind of like I haven't seen a lot of them and it's kind of like, oh, I just don't want whatever. Anyways, all that to say, I loved this movie. Like
Oh,
I like really loved it. I was really surprised.
I'm a little surprised, but I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I was like smiling throughout the whole thing. I thought it was very charming. I was like, I can totally understand like why people love this movie. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Nice.
Yay.
That's
I'm
awesome.
so happy you liked it, Amanda.
Yeah, I love that. It was so good.
What do you think made you love this compared to other rom-coms?
Well, as you two have pointed out, part of it is Julia Roberts. She literally does so much in this movie. And like just think everything about her performance was so good, from her like playing the prostitute to playing, a quote unquote like rich person, persona, whatever. And just being so like down to earth and kind of like pulling that out of Richard Gere too, like constantly talking about her childhood and like things that she likes and having this very like playful childlike view of the world. But also like I enjoyed everything else about it too. Like I in general liked all the people that were in it and the performances. And I think also like knowing that this was a much older rom-com, right? Like I was like, oh, this is kind of one of the originals, right? So it doesn't feel like it's copying something else, because I'm like, no, this is like the original one, right?
Yeah, a lot of things have copied this one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think kind of all of that combined.
Yeah. I think Julia Roberts, I mean, I feel like we could just sing her praises this entire time, but you talked about how like, real it felt and down to earth it felt. And I think that was really what the childlike thing and stuff was her. Blah, blah, blah. That was a poor sentence I just put together. The childlike side of her, I feel like under lesser hands could feel very demeaning almost.
Mhm.
And it didn't, because of how she played it.
Yeah.
And I give a lot more credit to her than the script or the direction, even. That I think the fact that she had a lot of personality and agency within her character, that it didn't feel like demeaning towards her or her character.
Absolutely.
I'm curious how you guys felt about Richard Gere, because I think everybody agrees Julia Roberts is incredible in this. I don't think anybody needs to be convinced of that. She obviously, this is not the kind of movie that would get an Oscar nomination, and she did get it deservedly. What are your feelings about Richard Gere in this movie?
I like him. I mean, I don't think he did as much as she did. But I guess I don't necessarily have any like super complaints about him either. I think they have good chemistry, and obviously I think a lot of people think they have good chemistry because they went on to do several other movies together, I think. I know they
At
did
least
Runaway
one.
Bride.
At least one, yeah.
Yeah. So I have to assume that was people were like, wow, what good chemistry.
Yeah, I think for him and the way he played that character, like that character of Edward is not. I had a lot of questions about Edward throughout the movie. A lot of my notes are questions about him or noting what he was doing throughout it. I think that I wasn't as sold on their journey and like the romantic journey throughout the movie. I think that's what kind of held me up a little bit. I wasn't convinced that he was falling in love with her per se, outside of maybe like the occasional tell. But again, that's just my opinion. I think that you could really put anybody in that role, and I think it would be okay to an extent. But Richard Gere just naturally is charming. And I think that the way he portrays Edward, especially early on, to be this all work, no play kind of person, that was an interesting direction to take the character. Initially, when it's being teased at the beginning, again, this is someone who's coming at this movie with no experience or anything like that. When you hear the lawyer going around the party being like, oh, Edward's doing this, Edward's doing that, or whatever, he's taking business calls and meetings, he's dealing with exes, he has no time for love or anything. So there were some subtle, but as I say that though, there were definitely some subtle ways that you could pick up and note a lot of what he was doing or how he was changing things. But I think ultimately anybody could have played the role, but I do agree that he was charming in that portrayal.
Yeah, I think my struggle is I'm trying to decide, like, do I not like Richard Gere in this, or do I not like the character? And do I think Richard Gere is playing it fine? Because he's so insufferable at times. And I don't know, like, if it was under a different actor, would I find that less true? Or is that just how the character is? Because I felt like there were times where he was just very frustrating to me. Like, it felt like, I don't know. There was obviously an intentional that this is about her much more than it's about him. I read a quote that Gary Marshall, apparently early on in the process, Richard Gere was giving a lot of like thoughts and wanting to kind of interpret his character a little more, maybe give him some more things. And Gary Marshall said to him, in this movie, one of you moves and one of you does not. Guess which one you are. And so they clearly, which does make me wonder, like you said, Geoff, could anybody have played it and would it have worked just as well? And I feel like that's possible. But I do think Richard Gere has this air about him that makes him a fit for the role, but then also makes me dislike the character, which is maybe okay.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a testament maybe to the character that you feel that way about him, I guess. I think my problem more is with the character, because I was making a lot of assumptions about the character early on with the awkwardness in terms of how he was acting towards Vivian. Initial thoughts were outside of, okay, he's a wealthy man or whatever, he owns a lot of stuff. Then it come to find out, okay, he's born with a silver spoon in his mouth. To an extent, he clearly doesn't hang out with too many people outside of his work friends. Yeah, and his lawyer, his work, quote unquote, friends. So there are some assumptions that can be made, but like, a part of me was also thinking to myself, he's this successful in business. How does he not have the social skills to understand kind of what's going on? Or maybe these are his social skills and he's just portraying it as distant. I don't know. I think it's more, but I think it is more the character than Richard Gere.
And he also didn't like one of the things that bothered me was like it was kind of all about her learning his lifestyle. He didn't really make any attempt
Not till the
to
end.
like understand her. Well, at the very end, but to like understand her, or
Mm-hmm.
like she obviously opened up his personality and brought things out of him that he wasn't doing before. But there was no effort on his end to like meet her halfway. I felt like.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably more of a commentary on why would he, right? If you're
Yeah.
in America, if
a
you're
good point.
rich and you're, interacting with someone who's poor, why? Why would the poor person just not want to be rich? Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? So
It's
I
definitely true to that type of person for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
So
definitely.
again, like I don't even know that this is a criticism as much as just like because I think it's realistic the dynamic that occurred between them. I just don't know how much I liked it all the time.
One thing that I noted was that when they then they spend their first night together in Edward's penthouse, he almost is treating her like a business client to an extent. That he's like whining and dining one of his prospective companies that he's looking to buy, or one of those sort of corporate types that he's looking to dump off corporations to, per se. He's setting the table for her, he's ordering the food, he's pouring drinks, whatever. He's treating it almost like a business meeting. It is such a weird way to approach it. And it makes it unique and it makes it stand out. But I
Yeah.
think it is more around the character.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys may have read some of this as well, but I think maybe some of the quirks here with his character may have come from the fact that this was supposed to be like a different kind of movie and then was changed into this. So like originally it was not Disney-fied in like the rom-com sense, right? Like
There's
the
a
title of
harder
this,
look, yeah.
yeah, like title of this was supposed to be 3,000 to signify the amount of money he was going to pay her. The end of the movie was literally him kicking her out of his limo and throwing the $3,000 at her and leaving her on the street. Like this was not like the fairy tale rom-com. So I'm wondering if
Okay.
there's like two different versions of his character in this, and there was kind of a difficulty meshing them together.
Interesting. That I don't think that movie would have done super well at the box office.
Definitely not $400 million.
No.
It's giving the end of Moulin Rouge where he's like, I've paid my whore and throws money at her. For sure. Guys, I was really happy that they played the song Pretty Woman.
Yes. And they set it up like they teased you a couple times with it.
Mm-hmm.
They did. I was mad about that. I was like, just play the song, man.
I actually kind of liked it. And since they did actually play the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I kind of liked that they had that. And then the scene kept going. Like I was like, oh, it's like kind of like get ready for it. Get ready for it.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing. The editors knew what they were doing for sure.
Yeah. At the beginning, I was like, are they going to play the song? I was like, they better play the song. And then I got very excited when they, in fact, did play the song.
Mm-hmm. One thing too, and I'm just jumping around a little bit, different from the song. Edward, my note was Edward was private equity before private equity. In today's world of corporations and people acquiring businesses and leaving it for parts after years or whatever and optimizing things, I'm like, everything Edward is doing is ringing very, very true today, and it's hurting a little bit. I hate that this is as relevant as it is in today's world. Though none of them would ever have the heart to do what Edward did at the end of the movie. Never.
Yeah, right.
Right. To backpedal to the song, it was not in the musical, which was much to the chagrin of,
like you can't do that.
I'm guessing it was a rights related reason or something like that. But yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
not
feel
going to
like-
make people happy.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't get the rights, you don't continue with the musical.
Yeah. That kind of happened this past year with Beaches too, where at first they didn't have Wind Beneath My Wings, and then like everybody's like, well, then just don't even do the musical. And then it did get put in.
Yeah, like maybe your show wouldn't have closed if you actually had the song.
Right.
to backpedal again to what Geoff was talking about with
We're so disorganized today.
whatever.
Happens.
I never want to like interrupt someone when they're
I
in the
know,
middle of
I
a
know.
thought,
Thank
and then
you.
we like, spiral into other places. But when you were talking about their first night together, Ben, was that like a realized fantasy for you, like getting it on to I Love Lucy?
Well, okay, a couple things on that. First of all,
Yes.
the things I associate I Love Lucy the most with are my own childhood and then watching it with my son while he was a baby. So, no, I don't associate with romantic endeavors.
Now you will.
Number two, that was episode 150, Lucy's Italian movie.
I know that episode very well.
Yeah. A very famous Lucy episode.
Yes. I was like, oh, I know this
It,
one.
it always makes you wonder why. Like, I always wonder when you see clips of old shows and movies, which happens from time to time. I always wonder what makes them choose the episode they choose. Sometimes it's obvious.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like a clear tie-in.
That's a
I
really
don't know that there was in this particular one.
No, that's a really good point. I think it's funny too. One thing I caught was that when Vivian is alone in her room, I think before she goes shopping for either the first time or second time, I can't remember, she's watching Charade, which stars Audrey Hepburn. And then the very next time you see her and she comes back from shopping, she is giving Audrey Hepburn big time in her outfit. I'm like, oh, that's a fun little connection you did there between the media and the display there in the movie. So no,
I mean,
definitely
doesn't that also feel
varies.
like it's an obvious reference? I feel like doesn't that seem like an obvious My Fair Lady
That too.
like
Oh yeah,
connection? Because this
definitely.
plot is very My Fair Lady.
Absolutely.
Speaking of her going shopping, so I always thought that the scene when she's shopping, the big mistake, big, huge. I always thought that scene was going to be like bigger, or like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to just be kind of like in a montage, and they just like kind of stop the montage for a minute just for her to run in for like 2 seconds to just say that and walk out. I always thought it was kind of more of a big deal.
A thing, yeah.
I feel like that has happened multiple times as I've watched these iconic movies, like things that get built up from people. Like when you actually watch it, you're like, oh, that's all it is, but for whatever reason, sometimes they just latch on to.
For sure. Like I was kind of
history.
surprised that had even become, one of the most like quoted things from this movie that people always talk about, right? I was like, wow, I wonder why. I mean, yes, it's like funny, she like gets back at them and everything, but I mean, they literally did it in the office.
Yeah. Well, and apparently that, speaking of iconic things from the movie, when she's in the dress, the famous dress, and he closes that, what is it, the jewelry case or whatever on her hands, and she does that laugh, like, which is another iconic moment from the movie, but was apparently not scripted, is what I read.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's one of Julia Roberts' calling cards is the laugh.
That laugh. Yeah, for sure.
That laugh.
I wonder if it like accidentally like slipped shut, or if he was just trying to joke around with her.
Ma'am.
I don't know. Doesn't quite seem in character to joke around with her, but maybe, I don't know, maybe he just thought it would be funny and they wouldn't use it.
Definitely not. It's one of the signs that he's falling for her. He's allowing himself to give in. Kind of the progression that I noted here in the movie is he's treating her like a business client to start, and that's like the end of it. But one of the little things there in the middle of the movie is hinted at it at the beginning, where he's talking, which I guess it was with his now ex-girlfriend. She says, "I speak to your secretary more than you." And then, she notes later on in the movie that with one of his, I believe, colleagues or coworkers, that your secretary was a maid of, one of my bridesmaids at my wedding. When you first see Edward talking to Vivian on the phone, he's actually talking to her from his office and not his secretary. I was like, oh, that's a fun little catch, fun little detail. Okay, maybe he is starting to fall for her a little bit. So there are definitely some moments where it is built up that I'm like, okay, that is effective. Maybe I should up my rating on this movie a tick.
Does feel like that happens sometimes when we talk about it.
Yeah. I also know, like, I know people say there's like some problematic things with this movie, but I think one of the things that I noticed that I appreciated was like, especially for a movie made in the 90s, is how they handle when Jason Alexander initially kind of like hits on her and she's very upset that he told Jason Alexander that she was a prostitute, all that, and she's like gonna leave and everything. He takes her on a date to make up for that, but that wasn't it. If he like just took her on a date to apologize, I would probably like roll my eyes at it. But it's like he actually like talked to her and like they had a conversation and like worked it out. And I was like, wow. I feel like normally in a movie like this, he would have just bought her something or taken her on a date and been like, okay, I'm good. Like I made up for my mistake. So I was surprised that they actually had a conversation about like why it hurt her feelings and, that he was going to try to do better and et cetera, et cetera.
That is a good
I think
point.
that's fair.
All right, I'm changing my rating to a 3.5, by the way. Sorry, everybody. Okay, continue.
Jason Alexander, not likable in this. I feel like he's almost always a likable character. I mean, even like, none of the characters in Seinfeld are like great people, but like, lovable sitcom character kind of thing. And then in the stuff he's done since, I feel like often he's a likable guy. Not so much here.
Yeah.
No.
I was super excited when he first came out. I was like, it's George. And then I got less and less excited as the movie went on.
And then he really made Richard Gere. If you had any reservations about Richard Gere before that, he definitely looked better the more we saw of Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, oh, what you doing? Like, no.
That got uncomfy and fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, whoa, that escalated quickly.
That got out of hand fast.
It's Chinatown vibes there.
Seriously.
I liked Vivian's comment at the end of the movie. It's like, how do guys just know to hit right on the side of the cheek and make your face feel like it's gonna explode? Like that was a funny comment that she made.
Well, funny but sad.
Funny but sad.
I mean,
yes.
how many times has she been smacked across the cheek like that?
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in her profession, I'm sure it's not uncommon.
Right.
Apologies for saying funny.
No, I mean,
my intention.
The way she said it is funny. And she obviously said it very lightheartedly. She's like, oh, do they like take you aside when you're in school and teach you how to do that?
Right.
So I get it.
What was I going to say? I had something I don't know what I'm going to say. Oh, another, we talked about how great the Pretty Woman song, of course, is, but I also didn't know that like this was the movie that popularized the It Must Have Been Love, but It's Over Now.
Oh, really?
It was not written for this movie. It was, but it was originally a Christmas song, had Christmas lyrics in it, and they had it rewrote it for this movie, and this is what kind of catapulted it to being a famous song.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is I love that song.
Yeah,
good song.
Good to know.
Perfect for like towards the end of a rom-com song. Where things dip before the happy ending.
Oh, definitely.
For sure.
Because they all follow the same, same trajectory.
Absolutely. So Vivian was like not very good at math, right? Like she did not get a very good deal on this week.
No, not really.
She originally
a lot of perks.
was charging.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. But like without her initially knowing what perks she was going to get, like she charged $100 an hour. Then she went to $300 for one night, which doesn't make sense. And then to $3,000 a week, which is maybe like $18 an hour.
I mean, yeah, if you think of like every waking hour kind of thing or every hour of the week, but in terms of when she's actually having to like perform in her job as like being his guest and his plus one,
right?
I guess that's fair.
I mean, because if you could just consider the nights, for example, 300 a night times 7 days would be less than 3,000.
Yeah.
I know it's more than that, but she also got a lot of clothes out of it and got to stay in a swanky penthouse.
I just looked this up because I was curious. So Vivian charged $3,000 for a week of exclusivity, essentially. In 2024 dollars, it's gonna make sense in a second. In 2024 dollars, that's $5,500. Honora, the main character of Honora, charged the Russian guy Ivan in that movie $15,000 for a week of exclusivity. So she could have done a lot more.
Yeah.
Inflation, baby.
I was gonna say,
She could have done a lot more.
3,000 to what'd you say? 5,500?
Yes.
I feel
no,
like it
just
would have been
kidding.
more.
1 second. I did that
yeah,
wrong.
that doesn't seem
73. Sorry, it's 7,300.
Okay. I was like, that's not enough inflation. That doesn't
My
make
bad.
sense.
$7,300.
Well, I guess they
Well,
get
it's
a
one of those
little
deal- you know.
closer when you factor in that she originally asked for 4 and he said he would have paid 4.
That's fair.
yeah.
Get a little closer to that 15K mark.
Yeah, she's definitely kind of went down and everything. But hey, and maybe this is the first time. I never got the vibe that she was necessarily, I don't want to say good at her job doing that, but Vivian just seems like the vibe I got from her when we first met her was Marissa Tomei's character in My Cousin Vinny. And I could not necessarily see her being a great hooker, prostitute, whatever, just because it seems like she wants to have conversations. It seems like she has to really try hard to not fall, not I'm trying to find the right way to say this. She has to try hard to not hurt somebody per se or what have you. So maybe just the thought of having this opportunity is like, I just got to jump on it.
Yeah, maybe
And make
yeah,
it
maybe she
seem
wasn't
realistic.
making a lot of money otherwise.
Oh,
You know,
for
and it's
sure.
like one of those
I
things
guess.
like, oh, buy 1 ticket for $1 or 3 for, you know, like,
Yeah, right.
the rate goes down if you take more time. So
Mhm.
I guess so. It just seems like a lot to take it down, but
I don't know the economics of street work.
me either. Me either.
I thought it was fun to see it. Speaking of the street, like Hollywood of that era and like legit that era and not a period piece kind of thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated the perspective that they had of LA as the intro credits were rolling, and that it wasn't the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, but instead kind of the day-to-day and the shadier stuff and maybe the problems that you don't see documented as vividly in the stars and what have you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I like that perspective.
Yeah. And Jeff and I had very recently been in California and we drove past part of the Walk of Fame, at least. I have no idea if it was anywhere close to where they were because we were just driving, but it was certainly seemed realistic to what they showed in the movie.
That actually leads into one of my favorite little moments in the movie was when there's shooting or stabbing near Vivian's apartment and she's walking by. Hank Azaria is the detective and you have people taking pictures and he goes, "Are you the press?" And they say, "No, we're from Orlando."
Yes.
I noted that. I clocked that immediately. I was like, that's funny.
That was funny. That would happen.
Another funny thing from early on was that was Gary Marshall at the trash can and the director. And
Mhm.
I didn't even have to look up. I was looking down at the moment. I don't know if I was writing a note or something, but I wasn't looking up at the screen. And I heard the voice and I was like, oh, that's Gary Marshall. And I look up and there he's got such a distinct voice.
That's funny. You know, it's kind of sad because I feel like stuff like this probably doesn't happen nowadays. Not that it
Like this actual story, you mean? You think it happened a lot in 1990?
No, but I mean like just okay, I'm not even talking about like the whole like prostitution of it, but just the fact that Richard Gere was driving around,
Mhm.
didn't know where he was going, pulled over to ask someone on the side of the road for directions. And then she proceeded to like get in the car with him and literally like show him how to drive there. You know, we just don't get those types of chance human encounters these days.
You don't, especially
Not nearly
for
as much. That's true.
I think that was a
Yeah.
good telltale sign to show that he was someone born with a silver spoon in his mouth, or at least doesn't do much of this sort of thing and why his lawyer was very scared to let him out on the road, because he just doesn't know any better, quote unquote. Because I feel like the average person would never, they would just chance it and just kind of drive around or what have you, especially if you're around that area. So I don't know.
Back in the day,
Darn that modern technology, you just can't have millionaires meet hookers naturally anymore. It's just
these days, walking around Los Angeles, you're just gonna get
we
hit
have
with a
lost something in
Waymo.
America, folks.
Stupid phones. They're ruining society.
Yeah, you're just gonna get hit by a Waymo these days.
Nowadays, like, you know, if the millionaire friend like was bringing this random woman, you can bet his friends would be looking her up.
Oh, 1,000%. They'd be trying to find the OnlyFans real quick. And also,
absolutely.
And it said in the summary of the movie there that he's a billionaire. I didn't get that. I mean, I know he was wealthy, but I never quite got billionaire. I'm sure his company is worth a decent chunk of change. I mean, he's making $1 billion business deal or what have you, but I don't think he's necessarily a billionaire. So
what
I'm in line with millionaire.
Didn't you believe about him being a billionaire?
I think he said at one point something about having millions, but I never thought to tie his company's wealth to his wealth per se. It seemed like he bought his father's company as his third acquisition ever. I don't know. I didn't quite get billionaire. I got probably multi-millionaire, obviously, but I didn't quite get billionaire.
It does seem like billionaires would have more people around them.
I think so too. But again, once you get to that stage of wealth,
you're splitting hairs, right?
We're splitting hairs.
That's true.
We're splitting hairs. I'm making a big deal out of nothing.
Also, millions in the 90s is obviously different from millions today.
It's a very good point. I will say though, the date idea he had and the real flex of wealth and taking out a loan on a $250,000 necklace and then flying private to San Francisco to go to the opera. It's a pretty legit date. Pretty good financial flex. I'd be swooned. What are y'all's thoughts on the opera? I don't know if we've ever talked about that on this podcast.
About opera in general?
Yeah.
I thought his speech about it was like insufferable.
What was it? You either love it immediately or you
it was very pretentious,
but you appreciate it or something.
Very pretentious.
Yeah.
And also her, like, I get that it was like a comedy bit, but like her not knowing how to use the glasses felt a little bit like, I don't know, like, is this your first day on Earth or your first time at the opera?
I mean, to be fair, I think she knew how to use them in the sense that like she knew she was supposed to hold it like this, but they just kept flopping.
She's like, they don't work
the wrong way. I don't know.
Yeah. One of my coworkers is super into the opera, and so she's told me about all the different times she's gone and stuff, and it makes me interested in checking it out sometime. But
who?
Yeah, Hope. Shout out Hope. I know you're not listening, but
okay.
I was when I was a music major in college, for a semester and a half, in the second semester, they did operas, not musicals. Boo. And and every music major had to like participate in the opera, and that was one of the catalysts for me leaving the major. I mean, among many other things, that wasn't just because of that, but I was like, I don't want to go be in an opera.
The college I went to did quite a few operas. I was in 1 or 2 in high school. I was definitely in Carmen. As we were like the street urchins. What?
You said in high school. You meant in college.
No, in high school.
Oh.
As part of the children's chorale.
Oh, okay.
They brought in, they needed street urchins for.
Oh, you were a street worker in Carmen?
You know, for that one song that everybody knows.
Did you get in a billionaire's car?
I did not. This was at the Chautauqua Institution. So shout out Megan if you're listening, long before you worked there. So it's not my most favorite thing, but I have an appreciation for it, as Richard Gere would say.
I cried so hard I almost peed my pants.
She meant better than Pirates of Penzance.
Oh,
That did make me laugh. I need to talk real quick, and I'm sorry if I'm ruining some of your thunder,
it.
Geoff, but I need to talk about the similarities between this and Princess Diaries because, oh my God. So when Vivian first meets, I forget what his name was in the movie, but Hector, in real life, the actor's name Hector, when he first showed up, I was like, oh my God, it's the driver from the Princess Diaries. I was like, I love him. And then later when she goes shopping and the guy from I wrote down Kat's dad because he's Kat's
Yeah,
dad. 10
he is
things I
Kat's
hate
dad.
about you. And I was like, oh my God, it's Kat's dad. And I was like, wait, he's also in the Princess Diaries. And then I was like, in this movie, he's like in the, shopping montage. In the Princess Diaries, he's the one who like does her hair and makeup and makes her pretty. And I was like, and Hector's kind of the same character too between the two movies. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, the same guy directed both of these movies.
Yeah.
And then I found a review on Letterboxd that said Princess Diaries is just Kids Bop Pretty Woman.
That's fair.
And that
And they're both doing My Fair Lady and Pygmalion. Like it's like a very well-worn story.
Yeah. But I very much enjoyed Hector. Those may be the only two things I've ever seen him in, but I just think he's such a sweet guy. I hope he is IRL too.
Yeah, the way they portrayed Hector was very, very, it was nice. And it was nice to have a situation where when Vivian was going back and forth from the hotel, she didn't need to be like sneaking around or snooping around. It wasn't like, say, a Tim Curry in Home Alone 2 per se. It was a case where we're going to nip this in the bud pretty early on. Yes, because Edward is a billionaire, as we now find out, and he's paying a lot of money for this penthouse. He can do whatever he wants. We're going to take care of this situation and make, in his mind, probably Edward's life as easy as possible. And then as it goes along, okay, Vivian feels comfortable and everything, and that feels good. Ultimate did in day 2, Barney, Mr. Thompson. So
I like Hector Elizondo as Monk's doctor in Monk.
Oh, nice.
His second one.
How many doctors does he have?
Well, the first one, the actor died, and then they brought in Hector Elizondo.
Gotcha.
So 2.
2, yes.
I feel like he would make a good doctor based on the 2 movies I've seen him in.
Also, shout out to the one store saleswoman who takes care of Vivian first, not the one who shoos her away, obviously, but the
Bridget.
one who, yes, Bridget, thank you, who, again, very welcoming, no sizes immediately. I was like, this is fun.
Yeah, she
Very
was
cool.
funny. Julia Roberts is like, he's not really my uncle. And she's like, they never are, dear. Which is interesting. But no, I just got myself going down a rabbit hole about that because I'm like, wait a second. Because we never find out where that clothing store actually is.
Correct.
If it's part of the hotel and like associated with the hotel in some way, or if it's separate. Because I'm like, if it's part of the hotel, that kind of doesn't make sense because Hector
I didn't
says
take it to be part of. I just took it to be like one of his places he goes.
Yeah.
Like one
Maybe.
of the places he has a connection.
That makes more sense. Yeah, because he says this kind of stuff doesn't happen at the Beverly something Wilshire, whatever the name is of the hotel. Okay, I have one last thing I personally want to talk about, and we don't have to talk about it for that long, but guys, the piano scene. Wee wah woo wah. That was hot.
No music except for the random clanking of keys.
Yeah, the banging on the piano, literally. But
Which,
I meant
which like worked. I don't know. It made it better. I don't know. It very much worked for me.
I like that all of the staff were just on his beck and call too, just hanging out, not minding him playing the piano. In theory, in reality, I'm sure in their minds are like, we gotta kind of clean this place up and get ready for the next day.
Well, it's
kind of.
It's funny to like if you one of the things I did after watching the movie was I watched the trailer for the Broadway musical and which I'd maybe watched back when it came out, but I watched it and like they definitely like recreate every moment. So that the red dress and but then like one thing is like the piano, I don't know if it lands the same in a musical, but
yeah, I don't know. I agree with you, Amanda. It was pretty hot.
Yeah, it was a good scene, and I feel like usually during scenes like that, I kind of like tune out because I just don't really care. Like depending on how long they have the scene going on for, right? Like sometimes it's like, okay, I get it. You guys are gonna do the thing, great. And I usually just kind of like tune out and then wait for the next thing to happen for the plot to continue.
So that worked better than I Love Lucy.
I mean, sure.
You'd rather have clanks on the piano or an I Love Lucy episode in the back.
Julia Roberts can get it onto anything.
Maybe she is a decent hooker prostitute after all.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Do either of you have any final thoughts?
It's gonna be very hard for me to follow up what you just said, but the one thing I will say about Phil, the lawyer, that I liked was his little desk pool set that he had when he's waiting for Edward's call. He's playing pool by himself with like a little desk size pool cube set thing.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
I need that in my life.
I did not notice that.
That's definitely a rich person thing. Like to have a little mini pool set you're playing with at your desk.
I don't think, honestly, you could probably get one of those though pretty cheap.
Oh, I'm sure it's not expensive, but I feel like the act of it feels very like a rich person in their office thing.
That's a fair point. It's like it's giving Clark Griswold waiting just before he goes on winter vacation from his work, sitting there with the pool set in his office, just springing it, waiting.
Yeah. Swimming pool. All right. Well, Ben, let's hear our TV recommendations for this week.
All right. I have two, neither of which I've really watched. Well, one I haven't watched at all, and one I've only watched a little bit of. There is the show I haven't watched at all, but that I was aware of that feels the most tied to this is a show called The Girlfriend Experience, which aired on Starz in the late 2010s into the early 2020s, I believe. And it's about high-end escorts and kind of dives deep into their lives. And it's much more of a drama than a rom-com. And I believe since it was on Starz, it's very graphic, but I have not seen it. But it seems like if you're interested in like the human side of an escort, I think that show might scratch that itch. And then along the My Fair Lady vibe of the rom-com feel of it, there was a show in 2014, 2015 on ABC called Selfie, which was a sitcom and poorly titled in terms of, it's definitely not something that was going to turn into like I think people will be watching 50 years from now. But it's a very kind of blatant My Fair Lady ripoff, but actually got some decent like fans when it aired. It only lasted like half a season. Did not do well, but it had its fans. It's about Eliza Dooley, not Eliza Doolittle, who wants to be like an influencer and gets help from a marketing guru who's the Henry Higgins type, or in this Richard Gere type. Starred, let's see, who was it? Karen Gillan and John Cho, as well as Divine Joy Randolph in a supporting role. And it's not one I watched. I think I'm sure I watched the first episode, but not one that I stuck with. But I know that there were some people who definitely sang its praises. So I don't know if you can even find it, but Selfie from 2014 or The Girlfriend Experience if you're looking for something a little harder around the edges.
Cool. Geoff, what are our movie recommendations?
Well, Mandy, you stole one, but Princess Diaries. No, it's okay. I think that's great and aligns very closely with, again, director, cast, plotline, not quite to this sort of degree, but very, very similar sort of story about girl kind of realizing, this new world and everything. I think in terms of other movies from this era that this could tie into, the first one I weirdly thought of was Made in Manhattan with Jennifer Lopez and Ray Fiennes.
Mm.
That one I know is not as, critically loved or whatever, but I know it is sort of that sort of late 90s, early 2000s era staple for like a cable TV about different worlds falling in love. Another one features Julia Roberts. I'm not going to recommend Runaway Bride, but I will throw in Notting Hill, which is one of her bigger movies and kind of does like a reversal of this to an extent, with Hugh Grant being the man is not in the position of power in that situation. And then lastly, I mentioned it briefly earlier in the podcast, but to tie in the 2020s, Honora. Essentially, I don't want to say quite an NC-17 Pretty Woman, but could say definitely a harder R than Pretty Woman
the
was.
fact they're both R is a little wild.
Hilarious. But Best Picture winner, very critically lauded. Man and I both loved it. So yeah, those would be my recommendations to tie in with Pretty Woman.
Awesome.
Amanda,
Thank
I'm
you.
curious, before we go on to our top four, since you like this so much, have you seen other Julia Roberts rom-coms? Notting
Yeah.
Hill, Runaway Bride, My Best Friend's Wedding, that kind of stuff.
I've never seen Notting Hill or
I was curious. I was just curious as is Julia Roberts on your like maybe she's the X factor in your liking rom-coms?
maybe. When you were talking at the beginning about how you haven't seen that many Julia Roberts films, I actually went on Letterboxd. So I was like, how many have I actually seen? And it's not that many.
No.
Granted, I think I've seen a couple of her things that I probably have never logged on Letterboxd just because of how long ago I watched them. But, I saw she did what was that movie called, Geoff? The one she did recently.
Oh, Ticket to Paradise.
Yeah, which was another rom-com, but she's like the parent in the rom-coms kind of with her. And George Clooney,
Yeah.
was that right?
Yes.
Anyways, that was like fine. But yeah, I am interested to kind of revisit some of these 90s movies that she's in.
Yeah, I would like to see some more of them. One of the ones I love, I don't know if either of you have seen it. It's not a rom-com, but Sleeping with the Enemy, which was her next one after this. I love that movie.
We can do it for one of we haven't seen that month.
There you go.
I was gonna say, watch
this era Julia Roberts for sure.
It's crazy watching her career kind of, I think it was Mystic Pizza, which is how she got sort of like, oh, let's start paying attention to her. Then it was
She
Steel
got the Oscar,
Magnolias, where she got the Oscar. And then this, which is like, oh, she is a big time A-lister. She's a star. So great sort of career progression there.
I really like my 90s leading ladies like her and Michelle Pfeiffer. And like I feel like Meg Ryan, like I like them a lot more than like ones I can name from the 2000s as much, but
yeah. There was a different kind of celebrity back then too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, Geoff, why don't you kick off our top four? As I mentioned at the beginning, we are doing top 4 rich people activities that we would suck at. Julia Roberts was pretty good at all the rich people activities that she tried, but she had to go to a lot of new activities and try a lot of new things. And I think that we would maybe not be great at some of them. So let's hear your list, Geoff.
Yeah, so no honorable mentions here. I'll just dive into the list. So number 4 would be a dinner with multiple small courses. Thinking the scene where it's the business dinner, thinking of the bear, that sort of situation. I love food and will definitely eat it way too fast. So everything there, I mean, granted, that was a lot of escargot on our plate, but I'm thinking of the palate cleanser sort of ice cream dish that she had in between courses. I would probably just gulp that down, just being like, whoop, no problem. So yeah, that's the problem for me, is understanding like, okay, if trying to retool myself to understand, okay, if I have a lot of small courses, watch how you're doing with the eating, buddy.
Yeah.
It'd be tough.
Same.
Number 3, anything with equestrian stuff, polo, horses, everything. I don't ride horses. I love animals, but the kind of they're big, they're brooding animals. So it's like, oh, there's a little bit of unpredictability there. Plus, like the whole fancy stuff with like polo and whatever. I'm just like, I love sports, but I'm just doesn't tickle my fancy quite that much. Number 2 would be shopping. I know if I got to a stage where I had a lot of money, people would maybe do shopping for me, like a personal shopper sort of situation. But left to my own devices, I struggle big time. I am a store wanderer. I'm someone who can't commit, even if I have the budget to afford whatever we're dealing with here. I just get too caught up in the whole money conversation that I cannot make decisions. And I'm sure store clerks would get very, very frustrated with me. They would not be fawning over me and just being like, oh, I want this, I want this. I'm like, no, I got to be very selective. So I would definitely struggle there. And then number 1 is being buttled. Having butlers. I can't do it. Can't do it. A little behind the scenes action, but for our honeymoon, and man, I don't know if you were going to tell this story later on, but when we had our honeymoon, we stayed in an all-inclusive resort, but our room came with a team of butlers. And it kind of one of those cases where it's like, oh yeah, just someone that you could call them, on a cell phone to give you a ride to a certain place or bring you food or make reservations or whatever. But they were regularly texting us and trying to be like, hey, what do you need? What do you need? And we'll get this for you. I'm like, I don't need that. I can just kind of do my own thing. I like to walk. I like to get my own things. I just didn't feel comfortable with that idea. So I know that's part of the whole gig, but just the idea of being buttled just makes me very uncomfortable personally. So yeah, that's my top 4.
Yeah, that was a weird experience.
No, not to say that they were bad or anything like that, because they were great, super nice, everything like that. Shout out to the Sandals Ocho Rios. But yeah, it just made me very uncomfortable to the level of service that they were providing. I can't do that.
Yeah. All right, Ben, let's hear your list.
I have some overlap with Geoff, however, not his number 1, because I think I could deal with being buttled. Okay, so I have 2 quick honorable mentions, which are nods to the movie, which are opera and Shakespeare. So there's a scene where he's reading Shakespeare to her in the park, and then of course the opera scene that we talked about. And those are just 2 things that I can deal with. But as someone who's very into, theater and stuff, those are 2 things I don't like so much. So. And I feel like a lot of rich people are into both those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't put it on the list because I'm like, I could probably hang with it, but I wouldn't like it. Number 4 was my wife's suggestion, which was wearing white. Because I was telling her what we were doing, and it was the first thing she said. And she knows me because whenever we're at a restaurant, I tend to drop food on myself. So if I feel like rich people, they wear white a lot, white tops, white pants often. And I think I would just have food on, and it would be much more noticeable than it is now. And then obviously in settings where it would be even less acceptable than it is in its current form. So that's number 4. Number 3, going along with Geoff, is horses, all sorts of horse related things, riding them, going to horse races, anything equestrian related, just not my thing and something I would struggle with. Number 2, sort of like what Geoff said, except mine was more fancy food. So I'm a recovering, very picky eater. And I still have elements of that, especially when it comes to seafood. And so I'm sure I would discover some incredible things I would love as far in that lifestyle as far as foods. But I wouldn't do so well at like a business dinner where escargot is being served. I would really struggle in that situation. So I think that would stress me out. And then number 1 is the stock market. So I have like a 403B and all that and stuff through my work where people kind of do the market or whatever. And I meet with them like once a year and I don't understand anything they're saying. If I was like, had a lot of money to use and to play in the stock market, I struggle to understand it. I struggle to understand even the basics of it. I took economics in high school and we had to do a stock market project. And it's just like one of those things that is like a foreign language to me. I just don't quite understand how it works. And it's just like the terminology of it and the way it's being used just isn't something that I understand. My friend has started to get into investing and I remember sent me like an article about like stock market for dummies and I just couldn't even understand that article. So, and I think that's a big part of how people accumulate their wealth once you're at that level. And That's something that I feel like I would inadvertently end up like in jail because I wouldn't know what I'm doing. So
I feel like if it got to that stage,
I would have somebody who would do it
yeah.
for me. I mean, I guess
Like,
I
you
kind
got
of
me.
even do now. So like, and I'm not rich by any means. So I guess that's true. But if I was left to my own devices with it, I would struggle. Or even just like having conversations about it the way rich people do. I wouldn't be able to contribute well. I would sound like a moron.
Big time.
Yeah, that's very fair. I'm going to steal that as an honorable mention. Because I too would be terrible at that. Because you're right. I feel like even if they don't do it themselves, they all know about it.
They all know. They read about it. They talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like money. We should have done this when we did Mamma Mia. But so my other honorable mention that I put on there was like being waited on, like Geoff had said, just because of our experience that he already detailed. And also like when we go to like steakhouses or something for like our anniversary or special occasion, I really don't like the ones where like the waiters are like really hovering and they like scrape the crumbs off the table every time after you eat something and they just like won't go away. And I'm like, I just need some space, man. You don't need to hover there. I'm fine. I'm a big girl. I can eat. So my number 4 is being known. And I know this like probably isn't an issue for a lot of rich people, but it also is a thing for a lot of rich people. I don't want people to know who I am. I don't want people to know how much money I have. I don't want people to recognize me when I'm out in public. Like, I mean, that's like the entire part of celebrity life that just feels so unappealing. And obviously, rich people aren't always celebrities, but if you have enough money, people know who you are most likely.
That's a really good one, especially with today's day and age when you see people buying like sports teams and stuff. We're recording this shortly after I think it was the San Francisco, was it no, it was the Seahawks. The Seahawks that just got sold for however many billions of dollars by some tech investor or whatever. Would have no clue who that person is normally, but they got a lot of money and they're investing into a sports team. So yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, thanks. My number 3 is wine. I just really don't like wine all that much. I only tolerate sweet wine. And I know rich people drink a lot of wine. They drink a lot of alcohol in general, which I'm just not much of a fan of. And I know they don't drink sweet wine. So I would absolutely struggle to fit in with other rich people, I suppose. My number 2 is etiquette. Similar to Julia Roberts, I don't know a lot of the etiquette rules. I don't really care to learn them. And I think even if I did, I'd probably be pretty bad at it because I don't want to have to act like that if I'm out at dinner or if I'm hanging out with my quote unquote friends or, doing whatever. Like, I don't want to have to act buttoned up and do the right thing. Like, even when Julia Roberts is at the dinner and she says she's gonna go to dinner and he says, do you want me to order for you? And she's like, yeah. And then she immediately is like, yes, please do. And I'm like, I don't want to have to work. Like, I can't say the word yeah. Like, get out of here. And then my number 1 is dressing up, having to dress like buttoned up. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy dressing up on occasion. And even if I had someone who picked out my outfits, who did my hair, who did my makeup, I just want to wear a sweat. Like, I want to be comfy. I just want to like throw on a pair of pants and a t-shirt or something. I don't want to have to look 100% presentable all the time. That sounds atrocious to me. And I would be super bad at it. So that brings us to the end of our Pretty Woman episode.
Pretty Woman.
Started with it, ended with it. If you would like to watch along with us, next week we'll be watching The Goonies. So be sure to either watch along, or if you've already seen it a bunch of times and you have it memorized, be sure to tune in and hear what we think about it.
Very similar to Pretty Woman.
Oh, yes. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review, and be sure to follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see y'all next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.